Well, there's the scoring summary of a 1-1 tie in the game October 24th, 1964. We are now going to go to the game October 31st, 1964, and we're going to pick up the game and show you the highlights of the first period.
A long shot into the corner. Esposito cleared it, but not out. Bathgate lets his shot go. Mahovlich to the drive, and it's going to score! Ellis scores from Mahovlich and Bathgate. Back for Chicago. And Makita at center. Over the line, a pass to Nesterenko. Right in front for Makita. There's another shot to score! Oh! Got the rebound. It's all tied up. 1-1.
Well, Ron Ellis has his fourth. Bobby Hull has his sixth, and the Maple Leafs are tied 1-1 at the end of a period here in October. Ronnie, you have a great story. Now, you're 19 years of age, so you'd gone to high school. And now you're playing in your first National Hockey League season, but you find the time to go back to get your diploma.
Well, it was about a week later after this game we're watching. I believe I had 6 goals, and Hull had 6 goals. And so I go back to my high school for commencement. And Earl Rowe, the Governor General at the time, I believe, he was our guest speaker. And he did a wonderful job, but everybody was coming up, getting in their diplomas. And when it was my turn to come up, he stopped everything, and he made this announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Ellis is about to come up, and do you know that he's tied with Bobby Hull for the scoring lead? And I was such a shy, humble kid. I just blushed, and all my friends said, Ron, you just turned as red as a tomato. But again, a great memory.
And, well, you know what, and I went to Lansdowne Public School in Sudbury, and I went back and took a look at Eddie Shack's records there, because he also was a member of, but the one area where he had a little problem was attendance. And from that point on, Eddie went on to other things, and hockey was a very important part of his life.
So days absent would be one of his highest marks?
Yes, they were. He got A in absence, yes. I'm pretty sure all of those A's down there meant that, so I guess he did very well at that. At any rate, that's a great story, and Earl Rowe and commencement exercises, and here's the National Hockey League scoring leader going back to high school to get the diploma. Well, we're tied 1-1 at the end of a period back on October 31st, 1964. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Well, it is a 1-1 tie in the game October 31st as Ron Ellis and Bobby Hull have scored goals. The Hawks in town to tangle with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ron Ellis, you're playing right wing on a line, and Punch Imlach has put you on the line with Bathgate and Mahovlich, and one of the reasons, and it's quoted in the press, is that he wants a good defensive player to work with Mahovlich and Bathgate. Now, here are two stars of the National Hockey League, and all of a sudden a 19-year-old kid is given the responsibility to be the defensive responsible person on this line. You weren't a natural right winger.
No, that's true, very true, Joe. I played center my whole career, right up until the final year. I played A hockey with the Marlies, and when we won the Memorial Cup, we had a lot of strength down the middle. Jim Gregory asked me if I would consider moving to the right side. Initially, I wasn't very happy with that at all, because I loved playing center. But it happened to be, as I look back now, the break of my career. By moving to the right wing, I had my best year ever, production-wise. I led the Marlies in goals that year when we won the Cup, and that really gave me a chance. That's when the Leafs really got serious about saying, hey, maybe we should look at this kid for pro. And again, if I had been a center, if I'd played center with the Marlies, the Leafs were so strong down the middle, I probably would have been in Rochester or Tulsa if I had turned pro, but they needed a little help on the right side. They had made a trade. Bob Nevin had gone to New York, and there was a spot there. So yeah, you got to have your skills. You got to be ready to take advantage of an opportunity, but you also need a break.
Now, why were you so defensive responsible at a young age on a new position?
It just because it was such a new position, I was just trying to be very cautious and not get caught, and that's how I developed that two-way style. A lot of people said, Ron, you just go up and down and back and forth, but I looked at it. I tried to assess how I could have a career in the NHL, and to do that, my decision was I got to be consistent, and I got to be able to play in both ends of the rink. Everybody can score in A hockey. I mean, I led the Marlies in goals when the Memorial Cup. NHL, goal scorers come and go. You got to come up with something else that makes you valuable to a team so you can have a career.
Well, you had a career, I'll tell you. Over 1,000 games, all in a Leaf uniform, including some of these early ones that we're watching. And we're going to take you back now for a second period action from the game October 31st, 1964. The Leafs and the Blackhawks are tied 1-1. And this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
The puck is at center ice, knocked back to Brewer. Brewer over to Bob Baugh, number 21. His pass right onto Bobby Hull's stick, and he hit Ron Stewart with a shot. Ron Stewart to Dickie Moore, number 16, up to Bob Pulford, and went over his stick. Cleared in, a bouncing shot wide of Terry Sawchuk. Bob Pulford, number 20. Foot pass for Ron Stewart. He gets it out to center. Doug Moen's tapping it there to Bobby Hull. Back to Chico Mackey, tried to go through. Lee Fulford gets it out, and it was offside as the Hawks were coming back in again. And now they're going to make a change as Warham comes out, number 17. Stan Mikita, number 21. Number 14 is Doug Robinson. Elmer Vasco, number 4, and Pierre Pilote, number 3. The Leafs have Keon, Armstrong, McKenney, Stanley, and Douglas. Stanley to Douglas. Back for Stanley. Warham wrapped it, and it went into the crowd past linesman John D'Amico. The referee, Frank Udvari, number 1, and the linesman Matt Pavlich, 7. John D'Amico is number 24. We're coming up to the 1 minute mark in 12 seconds of this second period. Score is tied 1-1. Played back to center ice. Pierre Pilote, number 3, to Elmer Vasco, number 4. To Makita, back to Robinson, and Warham was well inside the blue line on the right wing. Face off outside the blue line. Goes back to Pilote. Pilote takes a long shot. Sawchuk stopping it. Douglas behind the goal. Pass to Stanley. Up to McKenney. Back to Keon. Keon gets over the blue line. Closing in. And he was taken out of the play. Gets it again right. And it hit his skate. Dan Mikita clearing it out to center ice. Stanley breaks it up. Shooting it back into the Chicago zone. Elmer Vasco over to Warham, and it went off the boards to Stan Mikita instead. He comes to center. Over the line. Turned around by Stanley. Goes after it. Douglas whacks at it. Knocked it to the blue line, but not out. Pierre Pilote to Warham. To Mikita in the corner. Douglas is there. A pass for McKenney. Tips it out to over the blue line, and Pierre Pilote to Warham. Back pass to Stan Mikita. To Kenny Warham. Douglas bumped into him. Pierre Pilote moves up. Tried to dribble it through and spot. Warham gets a hold of it, number 17. Back to Makita's shot. Sawchuk stopped it at the side of the goal, and Stanley goes to the corner, but it was called first by referee Frank Udvari. Out-of-town score at Montreal. In the second period, Montreal 2, Boston nothing. We've now played 2 minutes and 8 seconds of the second period. It's a 1-1 tie here for a capacity crowd, standing room only at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Billy Hay, number 11, with Bobby Hull and Eric Nestorenko. Al McNeil and Doug Moen. Hay off the boards for Hull. Vaughn covers him. Goes back to the blue line. Bathgate couldn't get it out. Brewer's back behind the net. Taking his time. A long pass to Ellis. Off the boards to Bathgate. Checked by Hay, but he gets it loose again to Brewer. Shooting it into the Chicago zone. Glenn Hall knocked it off the glass. Cleared by Al McNeil's glove into the crowd. We have a face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. It's Bathgate, Ellis, and Mahavlich, Vaughn, and Brewer. all up inside the blue line, and it goes to the corner. Bathgate failed to center it. Bobby Hull and Hay try to combine. Stopped by Ellis, who handed it right to Al McNeil, who brings it up now to center. Al McNeil takes a long shot off the board. Espenko covered by Mahovlich. Down the right wing for Ellis. He stops. Passing it back to Brewer. Carl Brewer off to one wing. Feeds it for Bathgate. Stopped by Al McNeil. And Vaughn gets a hold of it. Ahead to Ellis. Hit his skate, so Vaughn carries right on up with a pass. On the left wing, Glenn Hall knocking it to the corner. Doug Moans after it. Trying to bring it out. Down the left wing, a pass stopped by Brewer. Brewer for Ellis. Back to Mahovlich. Mahovlich shoots and shot way wide. Played back and down the ice by Chicago. Brewer going back for it. It's over the red line, but it's all right as Brewer's in a position to get it. Carl Brewer. Passed up to Bathgate. Over to Ellis. Over the Chicago line. Trying to cut in. Centered it right in front. Bathgate scores! Bathgate found Ellis. He made that play possible by shortening up on his hockey stick and cutting around the Chicago defense. Amy, where have you seen that done before?
My gosh, it's a long time, Bill, but it was a great play, and of course, I thought that Ellis played particularly well in the first period. I think this might be an opportune moment for us to mention that he also happens to be the leading scorer on the Maple Leaf team, which is quite a thing for a rookie in his first year.
Scored by number 9, Bathgate. Assist, number 11, Ellis, and number 2, Brewer. The time, 3:54.
3:54 is the time of the goal by Bathgate from Ellis and Brewer. Back up for Pierre Pilote. Clearing it over the line, Stewart knocked it out again. Pierre Pilote shooting it into the Leaf zone, and out there now is Phil Esposito, Chico Mackey, and young Dennis Hull, number 10, brother of Bobby Hull. Here's a chance for Chico Mackey. Head shot, and Douglas came from nowhere to direct it wide of the net, and Sawchuk gets the rebound. He drops it. They're trying to get it in front. Horton covers his man. Douglas has the puck in his pads. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Esposito, Dennis Hull, Chico Mackey, Pierre Pilote, Elmer Vasco. It's McKinney, Keon, and Armstrong, Vaughn, and Brewer. Keon breaks away with McKinney. A pass over to McKinney on the left wing, and he couldn't get through as Pierre Pilote got right in front of him and took him out of the play. Dennis Hull. Checked by Armstrong. Tried to center it. Armstrong knocks Pilote down. McKinney gets the puck. Back to Vaughn. Vaughn took his shot. That's wide. Keon went after the rebound. Chico Mackey stopped by McKinney. Back to Brewer. There's his shot, and that's high. Dennis Hull clearing it to the blue line and out. Vaughn shoots it right back in again. Keon after it. Pierre Pilote beat him to it. Past Elmer Vasco. Up at center, and Brewer's there. Gives it to Vaughn, to Keon. Vasco squeezed him out. Dennis Hull, a pass for Esposito, and Brewer to McKinney. Chico Mackey checked him, and they bumped together. And Vasco didn't have his stick, lets it go, but he was in position to make a play. So play goes right on. We're at the 6:25 mark of the second period. Here's a chance for Armstrong. The shot was wide. Bathgate tried to roll it in front. Armstrong hit by Al McNeil. Takes him to the board. Chico Mackey gets it loose. Coming out for Chicago. A pass for Pilote. To Dennis Hull over the line. That's offside. And the face-off will be outside the Maple Leaf blue line. Last scoring play, Andy Bathgate's fourth from Ellis and Brewer at 3:54. There's the time, 6:44 of the second period. Toronto Maple Leafs 2, Chicago Blackhawks 1. A shot by Doug Moon, wide of the Maple Leaf goal. Stanley after it. Dan Makita roughed him up. It comes back to the blue line. Not out. Doug Robinson check, and Ellis has got a break with Bathgate and Mahavlich over the line. It's outside. At Montreal in the second period, Montreal 2, Boston Bruins nothing. From the face-off, it goes over onto this wing. Douglas, a backhand, stopped by Doug Moen. Doug Moen starting up for Chicago, gets away from Bathgate to center. Over the line, and Stanley knocked it out again. Al McNeil hit the linesman. Douglas in his own zone just wraps it down to center again. Al McNeil there. Here comes his shot. Sawchuk stopping it. Douglas shot it off the boards to center. Moen over here to Robinson. To Stan Mikita. To Warham, and it went through his legs. Stanley up for Bathgate. Stopped by Mikita to Warham to Robinson. Stanley breaks it up again. Up to Ellis. Ellis trying to get it loose. Mahavlich raced after it. Al McNeil knocked it out over the blue line. Stanley failed to clear it in, and Ellis has it. Just clearing it to an open wing. Al McNeil in his own zone. To Moen, stopped by Bathgate. Bathgate to Mahavlich. There's his shot, right on. Comes back to the blue line. Stanley ran into Warham, and the linesman nearly ended up in the relief bench. Mikita for Warham to the far wing, too hard. Stanley gets it out to Bathgate. Bathgate, a long pass for Ellis, too far. Mahavlich races after it. Gets to it first, passed it behind himself, and Bathgate couldn't reach it. Now it's Chicago with Wayne Hillman. A pass on the right wing to Mikita and Palat. Stanley knocked it down even though he didn't see it. Here's Nestorenko's shot, and that is deflected wide. Now then Stewart. Bathgate. Hit by Palat. Stewart coming down the ice, over the line, takes his shot, scores! Got it right through Glenn Hall's leg. Now to Maple Leafs 3. Chicago 1.
Draw the goal scored by number 12, Stewart. Assist, number 9, Bathgate. The time, 8:54.
8:54 is the time. A long pass for Pulford. He shoots it in. Dickie Moore races after it. Pierre Palat's in there first. Cleared along the boards for Nestorenko to Hay. Nestorenko picks it up. Over to Bobby Hull. Shot it off the boards to center. Nestorenko hit by Bond. Pulford back. For Dickie Moore. Wayne Hillman had him covered. Pulford digs it up. Over the line for Moore. Went off his stick. Ron Stewart missed it from Wayne Hillman, who took a swipe at it and fell down. Here Palat. Checked by Pulford, who centered it. Cleared by Hillman around on the boards for Hull. Bobby Hull starting to wind up in his own zone. Number 9 to Pierre Palat. Back up for Hull. He's checked. Cleared to Hull. To Palat. Over the line. Moore has him covered. Armstrong tries to get a hold of it, and there's going to be a penalty here to the Leafs.
Midway through period number 2, Andy Bathgate from Ellis and Brewer. Boy, that name keeps cropping up in here.
Went off my rear end.
Carl must have made a hell of a play. But Terry Sawchuk is in his first year as a Maple Leaf, and he's in the Twine tent here tonight. First off, what was it like playing in front of him? What was the difference between having he or Bauer in the goal, and did the team have to do any adjustment because of the two goaltenders and their styles?
I don't think there was a lot of adjustment. Both of them, when they got into their office, knew how to play the game. Extremely skilled, extremely committed, and just great game players. Where the difference was, Joe, was in practice. Two different personalities. You have Terry Sawchuk, who didn't want to get hit in practice. So he'd stand as close as he could get to one goalpost and give you 2/3 of the net, and you better miss him. And the other end would be Bauer, who wouldn't let a pea by him. He'd be doing headstands to stop you, the two personalities. But when they got into the office in a game, they both knew how to play.
And Yuki, as he was affectionately known, a bit of a loner, I mean, God bless their souls. But to play in the National Hockey League, and by now Sawchuk, of course, is wearing the mask, but to play in the National Hockey League without a goal mask for most of your career, if you aren't a tad loopy by the time this thing is all over with, then I mean, they should have had psychologists just wandering around with these guys.
One of the things that amazes me about Sawchuk, and Joe, you're a goalie, you know what I mean.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out, but you're lying.
But I think you'll understand, the one thing I remember about him, his belly pad was a piece of felt,
Yeah.
that thick. That's all it was. And compared to what they wear today, it's just amazing. And he would be black and blue from where the puck would hit him and go through that felt. That pad is in the belly pad is in the Hall of Fame, and if people want to have a look at it, it's something like a kid starting hockey, playing goal at 9 years old would wear. But he wanted that, so he could move quickly. But you're right, to be able to stop and go out and challenge Hull with one of those on, you're right.
It was strange. And Terry Sawchuk playing goal tonight and playing well against Bobby Hull and the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's go back upstairs to Bill Hewitt.
A hooking penalty to Moore. Now let's have a look at that goal that Ron Stewart scored. Reach it. Now it's Chicago with Wayne Hillman. A pass on the right wing to Makita and Palat. Stanley knocked it down even though he didn't see it. Here's Nesterenko's shot, and that is deflected wide. Now then Stewart. Southgate. Hit by Palat. Stewart coming down the ice. Over the line. Takes his shot. Scores! Leafs are shorthanded, and from the faceoff, Douglas shoots it down the ice. Leafs 3, Chicago 1. But Chicago have the odd man, playing 6 men to 5. Bobby Hull, watched by Keon, that gets away from him. Up the ice with a pass to Hull, over to Stan Makita. Makita waits. Passed it across in front. Douglas chopped it to the blue line, stopped by Moans, and it's knocked out by Armstrong, but over the glass. We're at the 10:40 mark of the second period. The Leafs are leading 3-1. And in Montreal, it's Montreal 3, Boston nothing. Stanley shoots it down the ice. Glenn Hall out of the net, and it's Dan Makita back for it. Moans is the lone defenseman, 4 forwards, and Moans the defenseman. Now Bobby Hull, straight up at center. Over the line, there's the shot. Sawchuk stopped it. Played off to the wing. Douglas back for Stanley. Stanley's checked. It goes to Stan Makita. Makita shot it around to Hay. Hay trying to center it. He's checked. Moans has it at the blue line. There's his shot. It's deflected right in front of the net. Hay goes down. Douglas falls. It's underneath him, and the referee finally calls the play. After Provost's goal from Maxim at 9:25, which made it 3-0, the Bruins have just scored. Busick from Williams at 11:22, and as you see, it's Montreal 3, Boston 1. Leafs making a change. Hofford, Stewart, Vaughn, and Brewer. Hay, Hull, Nesterenko, Makita, and Moan. On the faceoff, Stewart cleared it into the corner. It's cleared back to Billy Hay, number 11. To Nesterenko, right in front of the net. Here's Moan's getting set. He passed it over to Hay in the corner. Vaughn went after, chopped at it, and missed it. It's back to Billy Hay again. Back to Moans here. He's getting set. The shot is way high, and that goes over the glass. The Hawks are putting on tremendous pressure now as they have a man advantage, trailing in the hockey game 3-1. 25 seconds left in the penalty to Dickie Moore. Already. Stewart. Clearing it to Bond behind the net. He shot it around. Nikita kept it in to Nestorenko. To Hay, trying to get it out in front for Hull. It goes to Stan Mikita again. His shot, he knocked it down with his glove. Bond cleared it right on the Mikita stick. Another shot. Here's Nestorenko drive. And Popper picks it up and clears it out off Stewart. Moore has 3 seconds left. Out he comes. Bobby Hull. Trying to go down the left wing. He was hit. Hayes, checked by Dickie Moore. Moore tried to flip a pass for Stewart. Nestorenko coming down the ice. Brewer broke it up. Hull goes after it. Brewer covers Hull. Hull is checked, and Stewart clears it up for Popper. Popper races after it. Glenn Hull comes out of the net. It's steered right in front. Stewart after it. He's shot wide. And Nikita off the boards for Nestorenko. Ahead to Hay, too far. Brewer flipped it back and it went over Nestorenko's stick. Doug Moans brings it up now. Pass to Hull, over for Nestorenko, and Dickie Moore has it. For Popper, getting it over the line. Play it out again. Moore back to Bond. Off the board. Al McNeil, then a flip pass to Phil Esposito. Brewer's in there. Runs into Esposito. Esposito fights him for it. Bathgate flipping it to the left wing. Dickie Moore clearing it down the ice in between Al McNeil and Wayne Hillman. And that's going over the red line. It'll be called for icing. And this game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. All set to go. Face off in the circle to the left of Terry Sawchuk. 3-1 the score in favor of the Leafs, with 6 minutes and 35 seconds remaining to play in the second period. Bathgate now in possession, coming out over his own blue line. Mahavlich on his left. The long shot off the boards. Mahavlich went after it. It was touched by Hillman. Play is called. It was definitely icing, and a face-off back in the Leaf zone to the right. Toronto Maple Leafs 3, Chicago Blackhawks 1 at the 13:36 mark of the second period. Comes back, there's a shot, it hit Ellis, he's got a break, he races down the ice after it's too far for him, and Glenn Hall is there. Al McNeil. A pass off the boards to Chico Mackey. Chico Mackey coming down to his own blue line to center. Flips it over the line. Esposito races after it. Sawchuk to Ellis, and there's going to be a penalty here to the Maple Leafs. And, Jim, these penalties can hurt.
They certainly did in the first period, Bill. Both goals were scored while each team was a man short. And I might say that Bobby Hull has come back to stir things up again, although our viewers didn't see it. He was practically the whole show for Chicago in the first period. The only way the Leafs could ever handle him was to get him into the penalty box. That was the only occasion on which he didn't dominate the game.
14 minutes exactly. Interference to Horton. So that's the second penalty of the second period, and both of them have been to the Maple Leafs. There were 7 penalties in the first period, 4 to Chicago and 3 to the Leafs. Toronto 3, Chicago 1 at the 14-minute mark of this second period. Ready to go now. It's Esposito with Dennis Hull and Chico Mackey a shot. Sawchuk caught it, and now he's thrown that one over the glass. And the referee is getting a little lenient if he's warned.
That's the second time, Bill, that Sawchuk has quite carelessly tossed it right into the crowd.
And that's in the rule book, Jim.
Yes, I don't think really the first time he intended it to go in there. This time, this was a, what do you call it, a decision call.
Strictly a judgment call.
Judgment call, yes.
And from the face-off, it comes back to Doug Moans. Over to Hull. His shot was deflected wide by Brewer. Esposito. Back to Moans. Into the corner to Dennis Hull. He couldn't center it as Bond bumped him. Esposito with it again, right in front, and Chico Mackey drove it wide. Moves to Dennis Hull. Dennis Hull trying to center it. Still has it. Centered it for Bobby Hull. Too high and it went down the ice. Bobby Hull watched by Keon. Hull behind the net. A minute and 15 seconds left in Horton's penalty. Chico Mackey clearing it over the line. Esposito after it. There's going to be a penalty here. Chico Mackey and Brewer. Brewer close to penalty box. Now he kicked at the door. So whether there's anything extra, there's Carl Brewer, number 2. So now the Leafs are 2 men short and Chicago 1. Chico Mackey is 16.
Penalty, number 16, Mackey. 2 minutes for slashing. Toronto penalty to number 2, Brewer. 2 minutes for hooking. The time, 14:48.
14:48, so that's all it was a hooking penalty to the Leaf player and slashing to Mackey. There was no misconduct. Now then, Pulford trying to get the puck out. He's checked. Nestorenko flipping it to Hay. Hay back for Nestorenko. Pulford and Nestorenko bump. Here it comes back to Bobby Hull. He's getting set. There's the shot. Nestorenko knocked it down. It hit Stanley. Moan gets away from Pulford. Back to Hull. Hull getting set. There's the shot, and that was off the target, and it bounds down the ice to center. Bobby Hull. Up to Hay. Douglas took a whack at it. Hay pass goes to Nestorenko. Nestorenko over to Hay. They're over the line. They're closing in. Back to Bobby Hull. Trying to get around Pulford. He knocked him down. Here's a shot by Moans. It's high. Pulford touches it, and a penalty here. There's Chicago. Nestorenko for hooking. And Jim, they're coming thick and fast.
Yes, and Bill, in my opinion, that was a stupid time to take a penalty, too, because Chicago was really putting on the pressure. Nestor just got caught. He tried to sneak it, but he was nailed. That's what really hurt.
15:44, a hooking penalty to Eric Nestorenko, so they're all evened up at 4 aside. There's too many of them on the ice now for the Blackhawks. They'll have to make a change. There's a Hawk bench with Billy Ray, the coach, behind it. Douglas is replaced by Bond. It goes down the ice in between Palat and Vasco back into the Chicago zone. It's 4 aside. Here Palat to Elmer Vasco, number 4. It's Keon with Bond and Stanley. Martin is getting set to return. He's on the ice, so now the Leafs will have a man advantage. Makita's shot was stopped by Sawchuk. Bond's there for it. Bond to Ellis. Ellis and Keon over the line together. Ellis breaking through, and he just couldn't get a shot. Bond moved up with a drive. It comes back to Stanley, and they call the play. A face-off in the circle. In Montreal, at the 17-19 mark, Belleville has scored from Ferguson and Cornwallier. Montreal 4, Boston 1, second period. It's 3-1 here for the Leafs with 3 minutes and 41 seconds remaining to play in the second period. Hank Mahavlich facing off with Makita. We got the draw to Vasco. The Leafs enjoying a man advantage. Vasco bumped by Mahavlich. Here Palat with it. Shooting it off the boards down the ice, and Bathgate's going back for it. It's Bathgate, Douglas, Ellis, and Mahavlich. Bathgate up to center. To Ellis over the line, and Bathgate came up behind him, put him offside as the pass came back to him. Three minutes and 16 seconds remaining to play in the second period. All ready to go. It goes into the Chicago zone. Pass go back, number 4. Shooting it out. Brewer comes on, and so does Chico Mackey. So now it's Nestorenko left in the penalty box. He has 48 seconds left in his penalty. The Leafs are at full strength. A one-man advantage. Bathgate shot stopped by Vasco. Brewer back to Bathgate. He's checked by Stan Mikita. To Pierre Palat. Ellis stopped him. Bathgate trying to dig it out. Cleared up to Stan Mikita. He flips it back to Vasco. Ahead to Mikita. Shooting it down the ice. Nestorenko has 21 seconds left in his penalty. There's 2 minutes and 33 seconds remaining in the second period at Ellis. To Douglas. For Ellis, Al McNeil shoots it down the ice. Bathgate back for it. Too far for Ron Ellis. Nestorenko is out. Fighting forward with Kelly. Kelly over the Chicago line. Al McNeil shoots it out again. Bobby Hull brings it back. Hull, number 9. With a minute and 55 seconds remaining in the period. Kelly keeping it in for the Leafs. Digs it out to Armstrong. Header hopped over Brewer's stick. He races after it. Chico Mackey gets in ahead of him. Here's Chico Mackey, a pass. Oh, and this went wide. And Stachuk gives it to Brewer. Brewer off Kelly. McKinney races after it. Wayne Hillman back first. McKinney digs it out, rolls it back to the blue line, and there's nobody there. Bobby Hull. He spun Brewer around. He went to slide. Just sheer power by Bobby Hull. Brewer is checked again. Here's a three-man break. Bobby Hull waiting for the Nestorenko. Another shot. Oh, and Stachuk made a great save on the second try. And Bobby Hull nearly stole a rebound. Now it's Keon with McKinney over the line. A pass for Keon. Keon behind the net. Armstrong trying to center it. And Hay picks it up for Chicago. Less than a minute to go in the second period. Here's Bobby Hull again. Passing it right in front, and Armstrong's there. Armstrong to Keon. They're going down together. Over the line to Armstrong. There's the shot, and he shot it way wide. Nestorenko for Billy Hay with Bobby Hull. They're down the ice over the blue line. Hay closes in with a shot. It rolls to Stachuk, and he's got it on his pad, and he holds it for a face-off, and this game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. .35 seconds remaining in the second period. Toronto Maple Leafs 3. Chicago Blackhawks 1 in a face-off in the Leafs zone to the left. Stanley facing off with Phil Esposito. And from the draw, it goes to Chico Mackey, back to Wayne Hillman. His shot deflected off Dennis Ho's stick, but he shot it in behind the net, into the corner. Dickie Moore clearing it back for Douglas. Douglas, a pass for Pulford, and he has to go back for it. And to Douglas. Douglas with 15 seconds. Shot it off the boards out over the blue line. Wayne Hillman to Chico Mackey. A long shot. Stachuk stopping it. Douglas back. Douglas to Dickie Moore. He can't get it out. 1 second, and there goes the bell to end the second period.
End of the second period. The Maple Leafs have a 3-1 lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Ward Cornell is standing by with a member of the famous Chicago scooter line, the Capriole Diesel, Doug Moans.
Everybody loves the rags to riches story, and it's happened to Doug Moans this year, from the lowly Boston Bruins to the, well, I suppose you'd have to say the high and mighty and wealthy Chicago Blackhawks, Doug.
Yes, that's right. Certainly a pleasure to play with the Blackhawks, a team with the talent that they have. I think probably this is the best team I've ever played for in my life. As I say, it's a real pleasure.
When you heard about the trade, where were you? were you
I was
surprised?
working at the time when Lynn Patrick called me from Montreal to inform me of the trade. I was a little surprised, although not too shocked, because I knew that eventually the Bruins were going to have to make a change, and nobody is indispensable.
And what about your family? Are they still sort of in the Boston area, Canada, or?
Well, of course, I married a Boston girl, and I'm still living in Boston. Yes, I make my home there. I'm renting to have McDonald at the present time.
Do you think that is she going to move to Chicago, or is once a Boston girl, always a Boston girl?
Well, one never knows in this business. It all depends on what the future brings.
Doug, what about the strategy? Now, the thing that when the deal was announced, you're, although an extremely good defensive player, I don't mean to suggest this, but you're also a fine offensive defenseman. And it seemed to me as though Chicago might need defensive strength more. What was the strategy of this deal, do you think, or how you fit it into it?
Well, I was certainly honored by the trade. I was surprised to learn that the Chicago Blackhawks were having trouble getting out of their own end, and apparently that's why they acquired my services. It was quite an honor indeed.
That was you feel, the main thing, that they couldn't move the puck out, eh?
That's what I read in the papers.
That's what they tell you, eh? Well, what is your technique of moving the puck out?
Well, there's no real technique. It's just I'm considered a skating defenseman, and I just try to move quick. And fool the opposition by doing so.
Are there any other sort of advantages that you found being with Chicago, other than the fact that it's a winning team, in terms of, say, your own play?
Well, probably the big difference is that now that I'm playing with Chicago, I can stick to my own game rather than try and play someone else's game. I'm playing with Al McNeil at the present time, and he's a very clever defenseman. I don't have to worry about his side at all. Just concentrate on my own side and play my own game.
So when you were with Boston, especially the last few years, so many inexperienced players, you had to worry about them too.
Well, I've had to play with quite a number of players over the past several years in Boston, and it was quite difficult.
What about the styles of play of the two teams? Is there very much difference, and if so, what is the difference?
Well, I think the big difference in the two teams is that Chicago are a skating club. Their forwards are always moving into the opening, which makes it easier for a defenseman. Once he sees a player in the opening, all he has to do is headman the puck, and they're out of your end zone before you know it.
What about in training and coaching techniques? Very much different, say, in the spring training or the preseason training that you went through?
I believe Billy Ray took it easy. He didn't really train as hard this year, believing that if we didn't work too hard, maybe we'd be a better club during the latter part of the season. I hope it works out that way.
Capriol, of course, being up in Sudbury, I had to make sure we mentioned that. And this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Montreal, along with Detroit, tied with the Maple Leafs going into tonight's action. October 31st, 1964, each with 9 points. The Chicago Blackhawks with 7, and New York has 7 as well. So it's a tightly bunched start to the National Hockey League. Ron Ellis, as a right winger, you're and already being touted as a defensive specialist by coach and general manager Punch Imlach. Part of your responsibility is when you're out against some of the premier left wingers in this game, and one of them is playing here tonight, in Bobby Hull. You've got to try and contain him to some extent. Now, stopping him is pretty darn near impossible. Containing would be nice.
It would be very nice, and he was at the top of his game, and at this time of his career, he was starting to dominate the game and almost at will take the puck down the ice. And I think I might have shared this with you once before, Joe, but you know, you hear about when two guys are having a scrap, and the 3 words they don't want to hear is "let them go." You know, for me, it was 4 words from Punch Imlach: "You've got Hull tonight." Thank you. And I took that role seriously. I had some success against Bobby because I skated with him. He used to like, off the face-off at center ice, he used to like to go back behind his own blue line and wind up and come from behind. Well, instead of waiting up here standing still, I went down and wound up with him. And I had some success doing that, and I didn't have to stick him or anything. I just skated with him. I also knew the fans wanted to see him go, so I didn't try to haul him down or anything, but I tried to get between him and the net when I could. But I tried to skate with him, and we've had some good chats now that when we both finished playing, about, because he certainly knew what my role was when I came on the ice, and we developed a rapport because he knew I I was trying my best to contain him without a foul.
Now, Ronnie, the idea that the Leafs had, and you mentioned it, up and down, 3 lanes, up and down. Bobby Hull didn't, he wound up and then he used the whole ice. Now, would you be under orders from Imlach, just stay with him, or did you just pick him up when he came into your area, or how did you have to do that?
Well, no, Bunch didn't really say I had to stay on him all night, because I'd like to go the other way. See, one thing about, you can use that to an advantage. When on the exchange of the puck, I could get away from Hull, because he wasn't thinking about coming back right away. So if you use your back checking properly, it can be an advantage, because you can get away from your check and you're gone the other way, the turnover, if you can see the turnover. But to be successful against Bobby, you couldn't be waiting in your own end standing still. He'd be coming at you like a train. So I had to go and wind up almost with him and be skating the length of the ice with him and try to make sure they didn't get the puck to him.
And pretty tough to out-muscle him.
Well, like a fire hydrant. I remember one little story I told when I was speaking one time when Hull was in the audience, and when he used to come down and I'd be back checking him and he'd have the puck and he'd start to cut in and I'd yell to Bobby Bond, "He's cutting in, jump on."
That's right. We need help here, and we need it in a hurry. All right, Ron Ellis trying to defend the Golden Jet as the Maple Leafs are tangling with the Chicago Blackhawks, October 31st, 1964. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
Now here's a chance. A shot went by Sawchuk off the stick of Doug Robinson. Bathgate for Carl Brewer in the corner. The teams are even, 5 aside. Robinson trying to center it. He ran into Vaughn. It comes loose. Vaughn flipping it into the corner. Mahavlich goes after it. Moans moves up with him. Gives him a jolt. Brewer and Robinson go down together. Mahavlich tried to get it loose. Warham gets it back to the blue line to Al McNeil. Here comes the shot, and that's wide. The rebound back to Moans. There's his shot, and Sawchuk caught that. Threw it, and Bathgate takes a whack at it. Vaughn knocks it down with his glove. Moans whacks it to Robinson, trying to center it. Bathgate is checked by Robinson. Robinson centers it out down McNeil. Here comes the shot, and that's wide. Warham took a whack at it. Sawchuk dove across to make the save, and Brewer comes up with it. He gets it up to Bathgate, and Mahavlich over the wide. He's checked. But the Hawks did everything but score. Brewer knocking it into the Chicago zone, and Doug Moans, a back pass for Bobby Hull. But Terry Sawchuk came from nowhere to make that stop. Hull lost the stick. Horton goes over the Chicago line. Al McNeil checked him. Horton tried to get it loose. It comes up the center. Stanley over to Bathgate. And he backhands it into the Chicago zone, and Moans has it again. Leafs 3, Chicago Blackhawks 1. It's cleared by McKinney. Still in the Leaf zone, though. The Hawks try to get loose. Horton bringing it out with McKinney and Keon over the line. McKinney right in front for Keon, and he deflected it, but Glenn Hall had a piece of it first. Back up for Moans. A long shot. Sawchuk grabbing it. Stanley hit Hull. After it again. Clearing it to McKinney. McKinney shot it behind the net to Horton. The teams are back at full strength. Horton Armstrong. Cleared it out, hit Nestorenko. Nestorenko hits Armstrong. Armstrong, a pass for McKinney, and Keon, one man back. McKinney's pass for Keon is too far. He centered it out in front. Armstrong missed it. Bobby Hull on the left wing. A long pass for Nestorenko is in the clear. Going right in, he hit the post. And goes into the board. Stanley to McKinney. Up to Keon with Armstrong over the line. Armstrong turns. Back to Stanley. Stanley to McKinney. And he couldn't get a direct shot as they open up. Back for Nestorenko. Down the right wing over the blue line. Back to Hull. Hull trying to cut in. Armstrong is there. Armstrong coming back. A long pass for Keon off his stick down the ice. Over the red line, and it'll be icing. And we've played 3 minutes and 8 seconds of the final period. Leafs 3, Chicago 1. Nestorenko bouncing one off the post. Ellis from Mahavlich and Vasquez at 9 minutes of the first period. Hull from Makita Nesterekto at 11:08. In the second period, Vasquez from Ellis and Brewer at 3:54, and Stewart from Vasquez at 8:54. On the face-off, Pierre Pilote took a whack at it. Brewer intercepts at the defense. The pass tapped by Moore. Moore over to Bond. He races up to center. Over the Chicago line. Breaks through. Centered it right for Pulford, and it went right between his legs. Moore goes after it. Right up the ice by Pilote. To Esposito. Shoots it into the Leaf zone. Dennis Hull is out there. Brewer for Pulford, and it goes down the ice. That's over the red line. Icing is the call at the 3:43 mark of this final period. It's Esposito, number 7, Mackey, number 16, Dennis Hull, number 10, younger brother of Bobby Hull. Comes back to Chico Mackey, to Doug Moans, over to Al McNeil. His shot is high. Dennis Hull took a whack at it, covered by Pulford. Moore couldn't get it out. It's cleared in front of the net. It bounces over to Stewart. Stewart to Pulford. Pulford and Dickie Moore go down together over the line. Moore took his shot, and that's high. Al McNeil clearing it down to center. Carl Brewer to Dickie Moore. Up to Stewart. Off his skate. Goes into the corner. Hull, watched by Moore. Back to Al McNeil, number 19, to Doug Moans. Up the center. Back to Moans. He's over the line. Takes his shot and goes down. Pulford, a long pass for Stewart on the right wing. Racing up is Bond. Bond goes over the line. There's the shot. It hit Al McNeil. He goes after it. Tried to center it. Lynn Hall batted it down. And Phil Esposito starts up for Chicago. At center. To the left blue line. Tried to go through. Bond was there. Shot it off the boards, but not out. Al McNeil had moved up. Shot it wide. Carl Brewer. Off the boards for Pulford, too far. Doug Moans, number 2, to Al McNeil on the left wing. His pass. Stopped by Douglas to Mahavlich. Mike Mahavlich. Coming down the left wing over the blue line to Ellis. Ellis closing in. Wayne Hillman falls. Play is called and a penalty here to Chicago for hooking. Phil Esposito. Looks like 5:20.
Number 7, Esposito. 2 minutes for hooking. The time, 5:20.
Leafs have the odd man. Playing 6 men to 5. They lead in the hockey game by a score of 3-1 at the 5:20 mark of this final period. Here's Chico Mackey bringing it up for Chicago to center with Bobby Hull. Mahavlich tried to hook it away from him. Douglas to Mahavlich. Mahavlich away from Chico Mackey. Bobby Hull gets in front of him. Kelly then shoots it in. Ends up behind the net. Here Pilote. Clearing it along the board. Chico Mackey gets it out. Appgate. For Ellis. Ron Ellis getting in on the right wing. Tried to get it in front. Does. Here's Mahavlich getting set to shot. Kelly to front. Scores! Ellis! Shot for the puck and whacked it into the net. And Ron Ellis gets his second goal of the night, his 5th of the season.
Toronto goal scored by number 11, Ellis. Assist, number 27, Mahavlich, and number 9, Vasquez. The time, 5:55.
The puck goes back into the Leaf zone. Stanley shooting it to Keon. Leafs 4, Chicago 1. scored with Esposito in the penalty box. A pass for McKinney, intercepted by Doug Robinson. Robinson to center. A pass over here to Wayne Hillman. He shoots it in. Sawchuk catches it. To Horton, to McKinney, back to Keon. Over for Armstrong. Armstrong at center. Flipping it over the line. Wayne Hillman clears it to Warham. Warham to Palat. Robinson with him. They're over the line to Warham. Back to Palat. It went right through his leg. McKinney up to Keon. Keon going over the Chicago line. Tried to go through, and Hillman covered up. To Stan Mikita. Warham is loose on the right wing. A long pass to Warham. Trying to get in on goal. Sawchuk stops it and holds it for a face-off. This game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
The big
Face-off in the lead zone to the left. All ready to go. Brewer knocked it right to Sawchuk. Hoopford is behind the goal. To Brewer. Back to Pulford. Pulford hit Moans with it. Moans comes back and shoots it in. Out for the first time in the game, number 18, John McKenzie. Also up there is Brent Stanfield. There's a shot. Sawchuk stopped that. It's still in the lead zone. Douglas back for it. Failed to get it out. McKenzie trying to center it. Pulford with Moore and Stewart. Pulford in front of his own net. Coming up to center with Moore and Stewart. Play is called, and there's going to be a penalty here to the lead. Douglas, interference. He stepped in front of the Chicago player who was trying to check Pulford and gets the gate. Douglas.
Toronto penalty to number 19, Douglas. 2 minutes for interference. The time, 7:33.
7:33 is the time of the interference call, no doubt about it. It's Pulford with Stewart, Brewer, and Vaughn. Chicago have Fred Stanfield, number 6. Johnny McKenzie is number 18. And number 12 is John Brenneman. Doug Moans and Bobby Hull. Cleared down the ice. Len Hall stopping it. Bobby Hull behind the net. Now he starts out. A pass over here to Johnny McKenzie. Stanfield up with him and Brenneman on the left. Brenneman had the pass off his skate. McKenzie gets over the blue line, takes his shot. It hit Brenneman, who's bumped by Horton. Stanfield goes after it. It comes out in front, and Stanley shoots it down the ice. Bobby Hull goes back. We have 11 minutes and 48 seconds remaining to play in the game. 4-1 for the Maple Leafs. Bobby Hull gives a pass to Johnny McKenzie, 18. Back to Doug Moans, number 2. Here he comes to center. To Bobby Hull on the left wing. He's roaring in quickly. Back a shot. Stanley broke it up. Moans tries to keep it in. He does by whacking at it. Anfield to Moans. It's checked by Pulford. He's spun around. Goes back to Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull coming back. He's bumped. Horton clearing it up for Pulford, and it goes down the ice. 41 seconds left in the penalty to Kent Douglas. Bobby Hull to number 6, Fred Stanfield, to Johnny Brenneman on the left wing. It goes to the boards. Brenneman after it. Horton covers him. Armstrong trying to get it out. Has a hold of it. Past Alan Stanley. Up to Bob Pulford. One man back. Took his shot, and it was way wide. Al McNeil in possession, number 19. Clearing pass goes all the way to center. Horton breaks it up to Armstrong. Armstrong over for Keon, and Johnny McKenzie covers him. Keon after it. Clears it back to Stanley. Now then, Douglas is back on the ice. A pass to Horton. His shot is wide. Keon goes after it with McKinney. Keon is ridden off by Al McNeil. McKinney gets the puck loose. Tried to center it in front. He did. Stanfield was there. Hull tries to get it away at Armstrong's back. He just shoots it right back into the Chicago zone. Behind the net, Glenn Hull to Al McNeil to Eric Nestorenko. Over the Leaf line. Brewer grabbed him. There's going to be a penalty here. Nestorenko will get a penalty with him. Brewer had the penalty first, and Jim, it isn't very often you see one player go to another and it would make it even.
No, this was a great piece of acting. As I don't know if Brewer this year is going for an Academy Award, but he certainly gets a few votes for tonight's performance. However, this is the second penalty that Eric Nestorenko has taken quite needlessly.
I think we should make reference to the fact that on all 4 goals that the Leafs have scored, Bathgate has figured in them. He has a goal and 3 assists, and Ellis has scored twice.
Penalty, number 15, Nestorenko. 2 minutes for high sticking. Toronto penalty to number 2, Brewer. 2 minutes for holding. The time 10-12.
On the face-off, a shot by Stan Mikita. Kelly knocked it out over the line. It's cleared back in again. A delayed whistle. Douglas drew it out and in again. Hay back to Stan Mikita. Carrying it over to Al McNeil. Went too far. He's bumped by Vaughn into the boards. It's cleared back. There's nobody there, and it goes down the ice. 9 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the game. The Leafs 4, Chicago 1. Stan Mikita. A pass over to Bobby Hull. Over the line, Douglas breaks it up and shoots it right out again. Hay to Stan Mikita. To Bobby Hull. Partially blocked, gets it again. Hull passing to Stan Mikita through his legs. He gets it off the board. And his shot into the Leaf zone. Red Kelly picking it up. Kelly poking it to the blue line but not out. Hay keeps it in with Hull. Hay back to Al McNeil. There's the shot. It rolls in front. Douglas gets it off the side. Al McNeil another shot. That's wide. It comes out in front and Kelly has it. Kelly up the center with a pass to Ellis. Ellis racing after it. Too well covered by Al McNeil. It goes back to Douglas. Here's the shot and that's high. Ellis goes after it. Bobby Hull is there. Back to Al McNeil. Over to Stan Mikita. Mikita carrying it over the line. Bathgate there. Shooting it out to center. And Mikita in his own zone. 8 minutes and 5 seconds left. Over the line with Pierre Pilote. Back to Bobby Hull and Bathgate. Poke checked it away from him. Now it's Bathgate and Mahavlich racing down together. Over the line to Mahavlich. His shot is wide. The rebound comes all the way back to the blue line. Down the ice for 3 Hawks. They're over the blue line. Stan Mikita, Bobby Hull, and Billy Hay. Here's Hull going right in. The shot. And Sawchuk got a piece of it. Over to Horton. Horton up to Brewer. He tipped it for Mahavlich. Glenn Hall came out of the net and wrapped it up to center. A deflected pass to Bobby Hull. Tapped by Horton. Brewer pokes it to Bathgate. Bathgate shoots it in. Ends up behind the Chicago goal, and Stan Mikita's there. Stan Mikita stopping behind the net. Starting up. Gets away from Pulford. To center. Over the line with Nestorenko. He's right to roll it through. There's a shot, and Sawchuk stopped that. Pulford flips it up for Bathgate. He's racing after it. Van Hall trying to come out. Bathgate right in. He shoots. Right in front of Mahavlich. He goes! There's assist number 4 for Andy Bathgate.
Number 27, Mahavlich. Assist number 9, Bathgate. The time 13:08.
13:08 is the time of the goal. Cleared up to center ice. Hoopard. Over here for Dickie Moore off the boards. And Warren goes back. So Randy Bathgate now has a goal and 4 assists. Moore flipped it over the line. Elmer Vasco back. Behind the net. To Wade Hillman, number 20. Over to the far wing. Cleared out at the blue line. To center. Robinson, checked by Stewart. Up over the Chicago line. Took his shot. Another one. Vasco knocks him down. A pass at center. Goes back in. Warren after it. Trying to cut in. Brewer gets in front of him. Vaughn, a pass to Stewart. Up to Fulford. Fulford, Moore, and Stewart. Over the blue line. Fulford covered by Wayne Hillman. Vasco hit the back of the net. Goes into the corner. Fulford after it. Warren tried to move out. It's against the boards. Fulford shooting it near the Chicago net, and there's 5 minutes, 35 seconds left in the game. 5-1 for the Leafs. And Tapper steps in to Doug Robinson at center ice. Dickie Moore flipping it over the line. And Billy Harris is out for the first time in the game. So is Eddie Shack. Shack, Harris, and Tapper. Cleared into the Leaf zone. Martin steering it out to center. Here's a Harris right in front of Shack. He shoots. Oh, shot wide and hit the post as he bounced into it. Martin is checked. Here's a chance for Esposito. Had to get a shot. That was stopped by Sawchuk. It ends up underneath Tappan. And Shack runs into Dennis Hull. Took a punch at him. Dennis Hull and Eddie Shack. Shack and Hull. Eddie Shack's using that head again. Two linesmen are trying to break it up. This game is coming here from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. 15:09. Shack gets 2 penalties. The first one for charging, and the second for roughing. And as you saw on the screen, he didn't throw a punch. Neither did Dennis Hull. But Shack did bump him a couple of times with his forehand. So Dennis Hull for roughing at 15:09. 5-1 the score. Teams will be even, 5 aside, until the first pair of penalties are over. Dennis Hull will come back out. Shack will stay in an additional 2 minutes. We're at the 15:09 mark of the final period. Chico Mackey. Back to Al McNeil. It got away from him. Ellis went after it. Al McNeil covers up and he hands it right to Kelly. Kelly of the Leafs over the blue line with a pass for Ellis. Was behind him. Bone to Esposito. Checked by Kelly. To Ellis. Trying to get away in the right wing. Now then Ellis runs into Al McNeil. It goes loose to Bourne. He's checked. Kelly tries to get a hold of it. Does. Back to Brewer. 4 minutes and 10 seconds left. A long shot off the boards. Ellis right after it. He shoots. Van Hall stops it. Kelly shot it wide. Ellis after it again. And Chico Mackey comes straight up the ice for Chicago. Over the blue line. Gets around Brewer. He's dumped. Brewer is going to get a penalty. Okay.
To number 2, Brewer. 2 minutes for hooking. The time 16:12.
Hooking at 16:12.
see they're finally putting Bobby Hull out there again, Bill. When they were behind 5-1, and it didn't appear they were going anywhere, they kept him on the bench, and he'd played very well in the first two periods. But now, when they have a chance with the one-man advantage, back he comes.
And it's Chicago with that man advantage, 5 men to 4. It's Keon, Horton, Stanley. For Chicago, Hay, Makita, Johnny McKenzie, number 18, and Bobby Hull, number 9. All ready to go. It comes back to Bobby Hull. Over here to Stan Makita. And his pass stopped by Keon and backhanded down the ice. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. Stan Makita back, number 21. To Johnny McKenzie, and Keon nearly stole it from him. He does. Horton is cruising around in front. Johnny McKenzie comes back. Up the center. Shooting it into the lead zone. It came right in front of the net. Stanley grabs. Hay gets a hold of it, clearing it, stopped by Keon, and he shoots it down the ice. Hay goes back. Hay coming down the ice now at his own blue line. Up the center. Over the leaf line. Into the corner. Comes right in front. Oh, and he shot it. It got away from him as he tried to pull in front. Hopper. Up the center. Over the line. Gets into the clear. Right in. He took a shot. Oh, that was grabbed by Glenn Hall, and Hopper was hooked. And there's a penalty, and this game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Bobby Hull, a hooking penalty.
Chicago penalty, number 9, Bobby Hull. 2 minutes for hooking. The time, 17:16.
17:16 is the time. Face off in the Chicago zone to the left. Leafs 5, Chicago 1 at the 17:16 mark. On this final period. Ready for the face-off. Waiting for the Leafs to line up. Nesterenko gets it. Trying to get away from Pulford, he does. Back passes it to Stan Makita. Makita up the center. Pass to Nesterenko over the line. Back to Pierre Pilote. The shot. Kochuk stopped it, and it was cleared by Douglas down to center. 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. Elmer Vasco. Pass to Stan Makita. Pulford's there. He has a hold of it. Over to Bond. Back to Douglas. He shoots it down the ice. Right on. Elmer Vasco to Eric Nesterenko with 1 minute and 57 seconds left. Over the line for Pierre Pilote to Stan Makita for Nesterenko, stopped by Bond. Bond coming up. A long pass. Brewer races after it. Keon in front of the net. Took a shot, hit the side of the net. And it's Pierre Pilote with a number 3. 1 minute and 35 seconds left as Bond stops it at center and shoots it right back in again. Leafs 5, Chicago 1. Pierre Pilote to number 6, Fred Stanfield with Nesterenko. He stick-handled neatly to the Leaf line and lost it to Ellis. Ellis and Keon down together over the line. Keon trying to control it. Had it taken away from him by Nesterenko with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. Nesterenko at the blue line. Keon gets in ahead of him, but Nesterenko has the puck. Less than a minute to go. A pass for Stanfield with Pilote. Too far. Vaughn goes to the board. Shack is on the ice. Eddie Shack gets a hold of it. Racing down the right wing. Tried to go over the line. Picks it up. It's offside. And we'll have a face-off. At Montreal, Montreal Canadiens 6, Boston Bruins 2. the Ballone from Hickey and Provo at 17:55, Backstrom from Ballone and Watson at 18:43, and leader for the Bruins from Fleming and Johnson at 19:11. Toronto 5, Chicago 3 at the 19:23 mark of this final period. Goes over to Al McNeil, ahead to Stanfield, a long shot. Chuck had it bounced up in front of him. Stanley behind the net with Johnny McKenzie watching him. Stanley partially checked to Frank Mahavlich against the boards. He gets it loose. Stanfield gets it back to Al McNeil. A shot that was wide. Mahavlich trying to get it out. Has it in the corner with 12 seconds to Andy Bathgate with Ellis. Back to Mahavlich. Over on the wing. It goes to the boards. They hold it there. And there goes the bell. And the game is over. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the three stars of tonight's game selected by Jim Coleman. The first star, Ron Ellis. Second star, Andy Bathgate. Third star, Bobby Howell.
Well, Foster, what did you think of that one?
Well, Ward, that was quite a reversal of form from Wednesday night, when the Leafs didn't look too good against Montreal Canadiens, and of course they came from defeating the Blackhawks just the night before. But tonight, I was under the impression that this Blackhawk team perhaps isn't as good as they were last year. I think they're trying to work in too many rookies, and they may be suffering from the youth movement, so to speak, because they had four of them out there tonight, and somehow they just didn't seem to have the punch that they had last year. I do think they missed players like Reg Fleming and Ab McDonald, that type. They weren't nearly as rugged tonight, and the Leafs had a lot of freewheeling. But I think the Leafs have that star rookie out there, Ellis.
I was going to say, speaking of rookies, what about Ellis?
Well, I think he's money in the bank.
Yeah.
He's about the best one to come up as far as the Leafs are concerned for years.
Has any rookie ever sort of started the season as well as this?
I can't remember one, unless you go back to Charlie Conacher's time. But certainly Ellis he's built low to the ground and is a sturdy player, and he seems to be able to go both ways. But I think the Hawks are suffering primarily by trying to bring on players that aren't quite ready. Now, that may be good for later in the season, but I would imagine if Bobby Howell stays out on that ice just as much as he has been staying out there, he isn't going to have much left by, say, around February. They're going to burn him out.
Yes. What did you feel about the Leaf defense tonight as compared to, say, the Wednesday night?
Oh, well, I think the whole team was entirely different. They didn't play as if they were worn out. Naturally, one game doesn't make a season. But tonight, I thought the Maple Leafs never showed to greater advantage over the Blackhawks for a long, long time.
Well, thank you very much, Foster.
What great planning we have here at Leafs TV to have the first star of the game actually in the studio. So Ron Ellis is the game's #1 star. You're watching Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. A 5-1 victory by the Toronto Maple Leafs over the Chicago Blackhawks. Ron Ellis, the game's first star. You look a little older now. I don't know. Now, that rookie year, first off, you're high school age. Now, how did the boys handle you off the ice and on the train and away from the rink?
Well, it was just great to be part of the family, but and yes, a few of them did take me under their wing. I remember Tim Horton one night in particular. We were on the road, and I loved Timmy. We all did, and he wasn't a heavy drinker. I mean, a beer or two, and Timmy was feeling pretty good. So he said, "Come with me tonight, kid. I'm going to show you how to drink beer." You know.
Well,
so,
you know, education in this world is a very important thing. You've already got your diploma, so now you're becoming a worldly individual.
That's right. So I remember that. And I think we had about 2 beers each, which we were both lit, you know, because he didn't drink a lot of beer, but just a wonderful guy. But the fellas were tremendous. They knew what I was going through, you know, to break into a team that had won 3 cups in a row And I wouldn't mind, if you wouldn't mind, Joe, I'd like to say this. The guys were good to me, but I was dating my present wife. We started dating in junior, and she was coming to all the games, and I was so grateful how the wives of the players made my now wife feel so comfortable and welcome.
Well, and that's important because as you well know, the attitude and the atmosphere of a team is built not on the ice. And so much of a success of an organization is built by what goes on as a group away from the rink, isn't it?
So true, and I really believe back in the 60s when I was with the club, before we started flying, those train trips were great times for the team to come together. We'd eat together, you'd be talking to different people, you get to know the guys, you know where they're from, their families, and you became very close. And I understand now it's not like that. They fly, they get off the planes, and they scatter. Well, and on the trains, we had to be together for eight hours, and we became very close.
And you shared each other's glories, you shared each other's personal problems, and were able to lean on one another. And I think that you see in this day and age, especially in alumni events, that bond that is still there. Because, as you say, those players stayed together right through junior, right through most of their career in the same uniform, where now, of course, it's here today, gone tomorrow.
Joe, you're absolutely right. You're kind enough every year to come and MC our golf tournament, our corporate golf tournament, and I think that's where you're seeing some of that bond. Guys you don't even see maybe for 5 or 10 years, but we all know that. I know right now if something happened to me on the way out of here, on my way to work or whatever, or home tonight, that my wife would get 100 phone calls this evening. That's the bond.
All right. Now, what is Ron Ellis doing these days? I know you're at the Hockey Hall of Fame, but you have a little project.
Got a little project. Still enjoying my role at the Hall. We're just going into our 10th anniversary, and we have some special displays being designed for the 10th anniversary. So folks,
possibly on the Ron Ellis 5 goals here, and the diploma being presented by
my little
Governor General.
My little plug for the Hall. If you've been to the Hall already, well, you'll be able to come back next year and see a whole new design. The other thing I'm doing, Joe, finally took the advice of a lot of people who have been suggesting I do this over the years. I'm doing my book. I'm calling it Over the Boards, and that name comes from the idea, and you apply it to life, the idea that you can train, you can practice, you can do all these things to prepare yourself, but nothing happens till you go over the boards. And you can apply that to life as well. All
right, Ronnie, we want to thank you very, very much for taking some time out of a busy day to join us. It's always a pleasure.
I was so excited when I watched these old films. It was fantastic.
You were really good. Ron Ellis has been our guest, and we've taken him back to a couple of games in October of 1964. And this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. It's a Canadian game. Brought to you by Molson Canadian.